All right, folks, we have two beautiful photos. This is from Lori this evening when the sun was setting. We had some red colors in there. And Louise sent this, and you can see a little bit of the moon in the sky and some of those high, thin cirrus clouds that were evident. Definitely looks like summer outside this evening with a little bit of haze, a little bit of high cloudiness. You can't really see that far because of the visibility, because of the higher dew points. Our temperatures are in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees, but it's 83 in Kansas City. Here's the warm air that is coming in our direction. All the East Coast is going to be swamped with very, very high heat and humidity. Now, we do have high pressure in place, so we are not expecting any rain or thunderstorms through about midday tomorrow. What's going to happen is we are going to have just enough cooler air aloft that we are going to have 1 or 2 thunderstorms around the region tomorrow afternoon, but we start out 64 degrees with clear skies. So tomorrow, 88 degrees the high, very little in the way of wind. Dew points are going to be much higher than today. There will be 1 or 2 thunderstorms. Now, if you don't see rain, and the rain's going to be confined to like a 2-acre area because these storms are going to be really small, you might hear thunder, but it might be quiet outside. You might see the sunshine and hear thunder. But for the most part, these storms pretty isolated. The comfort index, though, we are on the verge of being uncomfortable. The dew point near 70 degrees. Here's this high pressure ridge building across the east. So it's going to be hot for the entire week, and then a cold front's going to come through once we get into Saturday or Sunday, and as that cold front starts to break the heat, we will have the potential for some gusty winds with those storms. And then it cools off a smidgen closer to average once we get into late in the week and early in the week. Few key points about the week, folks. Tomorrow will be the highest in the humidity department. No breeze like we had today, so it's really going to feel hot outside. Of course, if you get a cooling thunderstorm, hooray for you. Tuesday and Wednesday, hotter, slightly less humid because of the southeast breeze. And Thursday and Friday will be the hottest days of our heat wave. We do have a low pressure in the Bay of Campeche that will likely become Alberto this week. The rain staying in Texas, something we could use because, as you see in the 7-day, with all this dry air and dry weather, other than those of you, maybe 5 or 6 of you who see a thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon, things are going to dry out. We're going to go into a flash drought. Our temperatures in the 90s, peak of the heat wave on Friday, 20% risk for a thunderstorm on Saturday. Much better chance once we get into Sunday, and then we turn cooler next week on Monday. That is a week from tomorrow. That's your 7-day forecast, but first of all, to qualify the difference between derecho and squall line, here's some more information. Historically, the term derecho was used to describe a thunderstorm structure in which rapid development of new cells along the leading edge maintained their intensity and produced wind gusts of at least 58 miles an hour along the course of its track. There must be several 75-mile-an-hour wind gusts contained within a derecho, and a derecho must produce extensive damage for at least 400 miles and be 60 miles in width. The meteorological community has been in disagreement on the definition of a derecho since 2016. That is, other private organizations and meteorologists have been defining a derecho as any cluster of storms that produces any degree of wind damage, not necessarily extensive damage, over the course of 400 miles. The Storm Prediction Center is en route to redefining the term, but it's going to take time. One preliminary definition that may be considered is any storm complex that produces 400 miles of high wind reports and damage. However, thunderstorms along late fall, winter, and early spring cold fronts can easily satisfy the distance requirement for gusts and damage, and that term derecho would be diluted to the point of no urgency from the public. For now, if you see any weather outlet specifically forecasting a derecho a week in advance, take it with a grain of salt. Beware, though, that wind damage can still be done in a squall line ahead of a heat wave busting front. The difference? A squalled line would not produce the mammoth damage we saw June 29, 2012. Chief Meteorologist Chad Merrill for Newswatch.